Yeah, so welcome all to this AS 9100 Revision D online awareness training series. So why we are conducting this training program? We are under lockdown time. So most of us are maintaining social distancing. Few of them are work from home. So we would like to utilize this particular time for upskilling, reskilling purposes. So we are conducting series of training program. We have started with IATF 16949. And we continued for medical devices ISO 13485. Then yesterday we did with ISO TS 22163 railway quality management system, and today we are going to have AS 9100 revision D. So this training will be for 2 hours, 1.5 hours training, and there will be an online quiz that's around 10 minutes. Right. So is my voice is clear? Yeah, if few people is not audible, don't worry, it's because of network issue. This training will be recorded and it will be uploaded in YouTube also. You can watch this later if you miss something. Okay, so who we are? We are from Nucleus Consultant. We are into consulting, training, auditing services. We are mainly into management systems like aerospace, automotive, railways, medical devices. We do various management system consulting, training services. We have a team of 6 people. So what we do for aerospace and defense? So we do 9100 series of standards. We do Nadcap accreditation consulting services on various commodities. And we provide solutions to automotive industries like IATF, core tools, even CQI. Then we provide some services to railway industries, then medical devices industries, some other sectors like telecommunication industries, oil gas industries, and general industry like information security management system, environmental management system, health and safety management system. So these are all what we do. And myself, I'm Karthi. I'm practicing management system for past 15 years. So I'm auditor for various management system, including this AS 9100. We work with some of the PSUs, Ministry of Defense Industries. We provide various consulting training services, various organizations. This is about our profile. Okay, so now we'll move into this training. During this training, if you have any questions, queries, comments, please make a note. We have almost 20 minutes question and answer session. There we are going to answer all your queries and questions. If someone is not clear about audio, or if you have any technical issues, please contact Mr. Balaji. The number is given in the chat box, right? Okay. So what we are going to see today, first we'll start with about IAQG, what it is. Then what are all the requirements in AS 9100? We are going to focus a few specific requirements in 9100 and some introduction to Nadcap accreditation. This is what all about. And there will be an online course evaluation. A link will be shared with you. You can attempt that quiz. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes. Whoever finishes the quiz, and there is a feedback form, whoever finishes both, as part of token of appreciation, we are going to give a certificate. That's what all about this package of this training. This training doesn't make you an expert in this particular subject, but it will guide you how to approach this AS 9100. That is what all about this training program. So we'd like to utilize this lockdown situation for useful learning purposes. So that's what we are offering this 2-hour free training program. Okay. So what is IAQG? It is International Aerospace Quality Group. The name itself clearly says what it is. We heard about the basic ISO 9001 standard, quality management system. We call them as a grandfather standard, correct? Based on this basic quality management system, lot of sector specific standards are developed. For example, automotive industry, we have IATF. They develop IATF 16949. For telecommunication industry, we have Quest Forum. They have developed TL 9000. Same way for railway industry, we have Unifi. They have developed railway quality management system. Now for aerospace and defense, we have IAQG. So IAQG developed the entire AS 9100 standard. So the main goal is to improve quality, safety, performance of the entire ASD supply chain. So that's what IAQG, the goal is. IAQG consists of various members across the globe. Most of them are manufacturers. We call them as prime manufacturers. So IAQG involve industries, civil authorities, international space forums, MRO industries, and defense organizations. So it's a combination of various stakeholders in ASD ecosystem. So IAQG has 3 sectors: American Aerospace Quality Group, Europe Aerospace Quality Group, Asia Pacific Aerospace Quality Group. Industries from this particular region as part of this quality group, and jointly they have a cooperative organization. That's what IAQG is. So their vision is very clear. They wanted to be a recognized global leader for entire ASD with respect to quality. So these are the various members in American Aerospace Quality Group. I think most of you heard about this organization. Some of them are your customers. Have you seen any customers' name here? If yes, just type yes. Very good. So you do business with these type of prime contractors or prime manufacturers. So these people are representing American Aerospace Quality Group. Some name may not be valid now because of merger, acquisition, a lot of things are happening around the business. But these are the American Aerospace Quality Group members. Then similar way, Europe Aerospace Quality Group. Yeah, Airbus is coming under Europe region. Yes, Mr. Vaibhav, your question is clear. Airbus is part of European Aerospace Quality Group. A lot of other players, big players are from Europe. So these manufacturers, these organizations, part of this. And when it's come to Asia Pacific Aerospace Quality Group, till 2016, there is no Indian representation. But what happened? HAL is the first organization who became a member in Asia Pacific Aerospace Quality Group. There are few organizations. Yes, Mr. Balaji, Russia as part of this, they represent through them. So this is what the various organizations who are part of this IAQG, which means IAQG wrote a standard that is a direct requirement from the industry. So it is a standard developed by the industry and for the industry. So IAQG developed lot of standards, lot of standards. They develop requirements, recommended practices, guidelines, implementation support material. All these are their intellectual property. IAQGs own this intellectual property, and they are not publishing and marketing the standard. It was published, marketed by a different standardization bodies. There we heard about SAE. Most of you have exposed or using SAE standard, correct? AMS standard, AS series of standard, sometimes ARP you may refer, aerospace recommended practices, correct? So those are all published by the different standardization bodies. So presently IAQG has agreement with 3 standard bodies to release AS 9100 series of standard. The one is SAE International. If they release the standard, it is called as AS 9100. If it is released by EN, it is called as EN 9100. If it is by GISQ, it's called as GISQ 9100. But the standard is developed by IAQG. It was published by the other agencies. But all are technically equivalent. Keep your questions with you. We are going to answer you end of the session, right? So these are the 3 standardization bodies presently publishing the standard. Okay, so your organization is already certified for AS 9100, correct? Most of who were attending this session, most of them, your organization is certified. Few of them are in the process, or few of them are planning to do. Fine. Now I'm going to put a question here. Have you seen your AS 9100 certificate? Your organization AS 9100 certificate, have you seen it? Okay, so what is written in that standard, in that certificate? Is it AS 9100 or EN 9100? What is written in that? Yeah, few companies having a certificate, it's called as EN 9100. Few organizations hold a certificate for AS 9100. All are same, right? The content is developed by IAQG. It was published by the different standardized body. The certification bodies are accredited to certify those standards. Either it is from EN 9100 or AS 9100, right? That's what. So don't get confused with this particular type of differentiation. So IAQG released a lot of standards where the 3 standards are certifiable standard. 9100, we are all aware about that. That is a standard applicable to designers, manufacturers of ASD products and ASD services. And there is one more standard, 9110, that is only applicable to MRO industries, maintenance, repair, overhauling industry. The 9120 that is recently coming up, that's mainly for dealers, distributors and resellers. And there is one more standard, AS 9115. It is not a standalone standard. It should be always certified along with AS 9100. This is for people who make deliverable software. It is for them. So these are the various auditable standard available. Certification bodies can audit this. But other than this, IAQG prepared, released lot of standards. Look at this. 9101, that is how to perform audit for aerospace defense industry to certify any of AS 9100 series of standard. And 9102, most of you might have aware about the right first article inspection. 9103, how to manage variation in key characteristics. Like lot of standards exist. This is not the end list, it goes. 9146 FOD, 9145 APQP and PPAP for aerospace business. So all these standards are voluntary. Nothing is mandatory. Most of these standards are a part of customer contractual requirement. So your customer flow down these standard requirement through their contract or through their supplier agreement or their supplier quality requirements. So that's how these standards will reaches our organization. So if you want to know more about what is IAQG, what are the standards they have developed, so you can always go to this site, you can get the complete detail. Just visit IAQG site, you can able to access only what are the standards available, but you have to buy the standard because it's an intellectual property. Those are all published and marketed by the standardized bodies like SAE. So this is what all about IAQG. So IAQG creates standard for aviation, space and defense industry. That's what all about IAQG is. Clear? Okay. So questions, we are going to answer it end of the session, not now, right? Now we'll move to what is this AS 9100? What are the requirements in AS 9100? So before moving towards this, I would like to throw some questions here. This is a quality management system. How do you define the word quality for aerospace and defense industry? Can anyone? What is quality with respect to aerospace industry? Zero defects, product quality, safety and reliability. Yes, Mr. Ranjit, you are correct. Yes, safety, reliability, it's a very critical requirement in entire ASD supply chain. Sometimes we may have a question, I am just doing a machining, I'm just machining a component. How it is going to affect a safety of an aircraft? The word quality can be interpreted by our own means. On-time delivery, traceability, customer satisfaction, product safety, reliability. So you can keep on adding. But here I would like to highlight very few aspects with respect to ASD industry. So what is this aerospace industries, ASD industries? I'm using this term ASD repeatedly because it is aviation, space and defense industry. Either civilian or military aircrafts, missiles, rotorcrafts, satellites, even drones, right? So these are all classified under aerospace and defense products. So here the safety, reliability is very important, very important. So typically we should have just a look how big this industry is. Commercial aircraft alone, Boeing has conducted a study and they have released their strategic outlook. They have predicted for next 20 years, the globe needs minimum 38,000 aircraft, which means per day, 3 to 4 aircraft they have to ship, they have to build. India alone, can you just predict how many aircraft is needed for India for next 20 years? Can you just throw some numbers? India alone, not the entire globe I'm talking about. See, a lot of numbers are coming up. But how many aircrafts are produced in India, for India? Yeah, that's the biologist is correct. No, but we are producing a lot of products to it, right? So a lot of products are sourced from India. There are some policies, we have to have some buyback policy, right? So that's what, this is what I would like to project here. So worldwide deliveries, they are expecting 44,000. Asia alone need 17,000. I'm talking about only commercial aircraft. Forget about the fighter jets, then the space equipments. So this industry is pretty huge. Then I would like to throw you some more questions. How many Indian manufacturers? Most of you might have aware about these organizations. I think the people from these companies also part of this training program, right? So can you see your name here? Your company name? Yes, right. So you do a lot of contribution to this volume, correct? And there are a lot of potential to grow further. So this is what the entire the ecosystem of ASD business. There are designing and modeling people. There are many players in India, particularly in Hyderabad and Bengaluru. They do design and modeling for aircrafts. And there are a lot of tier 3 suppliers where the raw material, someone asked the question, why raw material people are not part of this, right? Typically, they are raw material manufacturer. The raw material can be used in any industry. If they produce raw material as per AMS spec, it goes to them. If they produce the material something related to boilers, it goes there, right? So that's why we not call them as the exact the ASD business. But look at these type of products: castings, fasteners, cable harness, precision machining. So these people we classify them as tier 3 suppliers. Then tier 2, they are like flight controllers, system people. They will make systems. So I'll put this way: there are component manufacturer, there are subsystem manufacturer, there are system manufacturer, then we have the integrators finally, right? That's what they do, aircraft assembly. So it go like this. So from tier 3, the product reaches tier 2. From tier 2, it goes to tier 1, and it goes to aircraft assembly. Sometimes from directly tier 3, it may goes to assembly. It depends on the product and its complexity. And there is a whole big industry that is MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhauling. So this is what the whole supply chain. So we need to understand the context of our organization. When you are planning to do AS 9100, when you do business with the ASD industry, where you fit yourself, right? So that's we have to be very clear. So the word quality, it is not just always limited to product or the service what we provide. In ASD business, it goes beyond safety, reliability, availability, maintainability, suitability. So a lot of abilities, right? So what could be a lifetime of an aircraft? Can anyone just tell what would be the lifetime of an aircraft? 10 years, sorry. Yeah, it's based on hours, correct? But approximately if we convert these hours into an years, how many years we can run an aircraft? So the numbers are growing up. Okay, so I'll put this way. If you produce a product, you manufacture a product and deliver it to your customer, the product is meeting all the dimensional requirements, all the specifications, whatever customer is given to you. But after 35 years, after the specific flying hours, your products are still reliable, your products are still safe. How are you going to ensure it? So the word quality, we need to interpret in this context. It is not just enough to meet the dimensional requirement or the engineering specification. So that's why AS 9100, when they make this standard, this two word, safety, reliability, plays a vital role. So whenever you hear the word quality, you always try to interpret this with safety and reliability of your product. Of course, continuous improvement, what you mentioned is correct. So there are a lot of standards are there to assure this quality, safety, reliability. But most of them are voluntary standard, like AS standard. There are mil spec, there are NAS standard, then AMS, ARP, right? So most of these standards are determined by a designer and they flow down to your supplier, right? That's how the industry operates. But there are some regulatory requirement with respect to airworthiness. The aircraft authorities have developed those airworthiness standard as part of their national regulation. Every country having their own regulation. For example, in USA, we have a Federal Aviation Administration, and they develop a certification specifications. And we have EASA, they develop standards for them. Right, perfect. Like this, every country is having this. Even China, Canada, Russia, everybody established their own standard, but they are basically developed from this FAA standards, or they have their unique requirement. In India, who will be our, yeah, correct, Mr. Kiran and Balaji. DGCA is for our civil aircraft. How about military aircraft? Simulec is a laboratory, right? So these are the various players, regulators with respect to military. We have DGAQA, correct? Airborne. Perfect. So these are the various aspects with respect to regulatory authorities, because this industry is highly regulated. It is not just enough to meet the applicable product requirement. It is your responsibility to also identify what are the applicable regulatory requirements. So now we will see what this standard is. So this standard is applicable to the entire supply chain, people who are into aviation, space, and defense industry. And it is equivalent, either it is called as EN or JISQ. SAE call them in alphabetical order, revision A, B, C, D, whereas the other two publicator, they refer it by the year. The last 4 digit represents which year the standard is revised or amended. So there are various standards available. 9100, most of you are certified for that. There may be few 9120 certified organization. Now in India, there are very few MRO industries. Can you name any MRO industry in India? Anybody from MRO here? Yeah, iWorks is there, GMR is there. HAL does only for their own aircraft, right? Yeah, TAL is there. Good. So these companies needs to go for this 9110. Okay, so this is what all about the introduction session of what 9100. Then we'll move into the further. So before AS 9100, what are the standard exist? There are some standards, some supplier quality requirements, SQRs. There are some military standards. So there are multiple standards available at one point of time. Then IAQG came into picture. They developed a standard. So the base for entire 9100 series of standard is ISO 9001. They took ISO 9001 as a base document, and they have released the first edition, that is happened in 1999. Then revision B happened in 2004. Till that time it is an aerospace standard, but what happened in 2009, defense also part of it. From revision C onwards, defense industry also part of this. Then in 2015, ISO 9000 was revised with some big changes. So considering the changes happening in the ASD business, they have released the new version. So 9100 revision D 2016. So that is the latest version we have now. So it has the 10 class structure like any other quality management system. Class 1, 2, 3 are very generic in nature, which talks about a general requirement. What is the scope? What are the other standards we need to refer? What are the unique terms used in this 9100 series of standards? Then class 4 to 10 is what the exact requirements. Class 4 talks about context of the organization. Class 5 talks about leadership. Then class 6 about planning. What is this planning? This is planning of your quality management system. How we are going to plan your QMS. Then class 7 talks about support. Class 8 is the exact operational activity. Then class 9 is performance evaluation, and class 10 is improvement. If you look at this title, class 4 to 10, you can see a sequence and logic. I think few of them have attended this past 4 days training on different standard. For you, it may be repetitive, but I have to say this, no option. So if you look at this class 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, you can see a sequence and logic in it. We all know PDCA, right? Plan, do, check, act. So can you name what are the clauses covered under plan? Can you just type clause numbers? There are 4 to 10. So which are fall under planning? Yeah, 6 is straight away planning, but 6 is not the only clause talks about planning of our quality management system. So a lot of class numbers are coming. Okay, so let's discuss this a little bit in detail. So we could say like this: class number 4, 5, 6, 7 or plan. 4, 5, 6, 7 is plan. 8 is do. 9 is check, and 10 is act. Yeah, there are very good even consultants also part of this training program. So you please give chance to others, let them answer, because we are master in it, right? So this entire quality management system is based on PDCA, which means your entire business needs to operate as per PDCA. Your department needs to operate as per PDCA. Whatever the activity we do in our business, it should be done as per PDCA. It is not just PDCA, it goes beyond that. So class 4, 5, 6, 7 is planning, 8 is the core business operation. How you are going to deal with your product? What is the business you are going to do? Either you are a design organization, are you going to manufacture a component, or you do both? So that's what exactly addressed in clause 8. It is operation. Then clause 9 is performance evaluation. I need to check, plan, do. So I need to check whether I did what I planned. Then I need to take some action. So this is what the basic PDCA, which is spread across the standard. So this standard is based on ISO 9001. If you are certified to AS 9100 means you are also certified for ISO 9001. All the requirement of ISO 9000 is here. So you can get ISO 9000 as a complementary. It's a combo offer, right? If you get 9100 means ISO 9000 comes for you. So ISO 9000 basic is very clear. It's a strategic decision. Your QMS must give a sound basis for sustainable development initiative. So considering this, a lot of new requirements are added in the 2015 version of ISO 9001. So PDCA is that, right? We have seen. There is one more new concept recently they have added into it, that is risk-based thinking. It is not just PDCA. It is always PDCA and risk-based thinking. We call it as RBT. So what is this risk-based thinking? Okay, so we all heard about one particular requirement, right? Preventive action, correct? Preventive action. Yes. So most of aware about this preventive action, right? Now, have you taken any preventive action in your organization recently? Yeah, most of you aware about what is preventive action. Now, have you taken any preventive actions? Yeah, consultants in the forum, please be silent, let others react. So, right, now, what is preventive action? Preventive action is proactive or reactive? Proactive, correct. Now, have you taken this preventive action for whatever the reason you have mentioned, COVID? Is it proactive or reactive? See, now you understand, right? So what happened most of the time, we take a preventive action after detecting a non-conformity. That's the earlier approach. That's the earlier quality management system approach. CAPA, correct? It is corrective action, then preventive action. So the logically there is a mistake, correct? You cannot do CAPA. We have to do PACA. Pakka, correct? So that's what the risk-based thinking is. So if you look at PDCA, plan, do, check, act, which stage this preventive action has to come? There are 4 phases we have discussed, the PDCA. Now tell me which stage preventive action has to come. See, now you got the point. So that is what, when they are revising the standard, so this approach was introduced. It is not just PDCA, it is PDCA and risk-based thinking. Don't wait for a non-conformity to initiate a preventive action. You need to do that when planning your quality management system, correct? So now QMS means it is PDCA and risk-based thinking. So there are 7 quality management principles. Based on that, the entire standard is developed. Customer focus. This principle is directly became a requirement in the standard. If you look at class number 5.1.2, talks about this. Leadership. Again, we need a strong, committed leaders. The entire class 5 is talks about leadership. Engagement of people. I think you are all well qualified, competent, experienced, trained person. But if our quality management system, if our organization is not engaged us to achieve our business goal, there is no use, right? So there are some requirements in the standard to address this principle. Then process approach. That's a huge, big requirement. We are going to see that what is process approach. Improvement. The entire class 10 talks about improvement. Evidence-based decision making. As part of quality management system, we keep on maintaining a lot of documents and records. So whatever the decision you are going to take in your company, it should be based on the facts. That's why standard needs various places. Maintain documented information. Retain documented information. What is the use of it? Here, that's the principle. There is one class in the standard, 9.1.3, analysis of data. Right? That's directly addressing this principle. Then relationship management. The entire class 8.4 talks about this. So this 7th principle is spread across the standard. If you want to know more about this 7th principle, you can refer ISO 9000. Not 9001. There is a standard called as 9000. That is fundamentals and vocabulary. In that, they have beautifully defined these principles. Now, we have seen this process approach, right? That is very important principle. What is process? Can anyone just tell what is process? Activity, a set of activity, step by step, input into an output, right? That's the correct interpretation, right? Process means anything which convert into an value added output. We need to do some interrelated activity, and we have to control the method. So this is what the simple definition of process. Whatever we do in our business, it is a process. Marketing is a process. Engineering is a process. Even this training is a process. What is process approach? So process approach means, in layman language, it is PDCA, risk-based thinking, and turtle approach. Look at this diagram. So if you look at the circle, this is our business, this is our organization, this is our quality management system. What is the input for our quality management system? It is customer requirement. That is not the only input. There are 2 more inputs are there. Context of the organization, needs and expectation of relevant interested parties, right? So this has to be operated in a systematic way. That's what plan, do, check, act. If we do this, yes, we are going to get customer satisfaction. You are going to achieve the results of quality management system, and of course you are going to deliver quality products. Now, we heard the word top management, correct? There are 4 phases we have discussed: plan, do, check, act. Can you tell which stage top management is involved in these 4 phases, PDCA? Most of them, are mainly involved in planning activity. Now you look at this particular diagram. Where is the position of leadership? Look at the position. Where the position of leadership? It's in the center. Yes, correct, Bala. Center. So leadership has to involve in plan, do, check, act. Not just planning. That's the earlier approach. That's the change between management responsibility and leadership. So these are the few things we need to understand before reading the standard. Right? So now we will see this. This is the exact requirement from 9100. It includes entire ISO 9001. If there is any conflict happens between the regulatory requirement, then your customer requirement, then AS 9100 requirement, which one you would like to follow? If there is any conflict happens in these three requirements, first always comply which requirement? Customer requirement. Abhishek says customer requirement. Let's take this example. Okay, so your customer gives you engineering specification. They asked you how to do cadmium plating. Okay, so Mr. Abhishek, you are from which place, which part of our country? Mr. Abhishek, Haryana. Let's say tomorrow Haryana government says cadmium plating or the pollution control board, right? They say cadmium plating is prohibited. What you will do? No, we are customer focused company, so we will do cadmium plating. Can you do that? See, the order is outsourced from other state. It's banned from India, right? The heavy metals. Yeah, you can always mitigate the risk. The question here is which take precedence? So first is regulatory, then customer. The least is the standard. Whatever written in the standard, it's only complementary. It is not going to be alternate. Clear? So that we need to understand. This is clearly written in the standard. Then if you want to know the exact terms and definition, please don't search in Google or Wikipedia or even Oxford Dictionary. First you have to refer here, ISO 9000 fundamentals and vocabulary. Then always 9001 requirements are copied here. Other than this, there are 5 new terminologies used in AS 9100, completely new terminologies. The first one is counterfeit part. What do you mean by counterfeit part? Duplicate, wrong part, fake item. Okay, here I would like to highlight one particular word. Remember that to properly interpret the word counterfeit item, it is knowingly misrepresented. Remember that word, it is knowingly misrepresented as a specified genuine part. We'll put this classic examples. A lot of counterfeit parts are in electronics industry, fake items. Military part numbers converted into a civil part number. Is that a counterfeit part? Wrong date code, wrong documentation. Not wrong, we could say false. Knowingly, again, remember that word, knowingly misrepresented. Without doing an inspection, if an inspector signs the report saying that I have inspected, the part is okay. Is that a counterfeit part? So these are the questions we need to ask when establishing an AS 9100, right? Okay, I will put this way. Who is the source for this counterfeit part? Where we are getting this counterfeit part? Supplier. Perfect, Mr. Rakesh. Supplier. Okay, in your organization, who is responsible to prevent this counterfeit part? Which process owner is responsible? Everyone, but someone has to take accountability, right? Who will be doing that? Sourcing. Perfect. Incoming inspection. Perfect. Right. So now my question here is, okay, in your organization, do you make counterfeit part? Because you are also a supplier, right, to your customers. So you have to think this way. So when a customer is sourcing a product from you, so they will also trying to treat you as a supplier, and they need to prevent counterfeit part from you. So the counterfeit part is, it is always not just a imitation or substitute or a modified part. It can be a false identification of marking, false labeling, false grading, even false serial number, false documentation. Everything, if you are knowingly misrepresenting, again emphasize the word purposefully, knowingly misrepresenting as a genuine part, then that will be considered as a counterfeit part. This is one terminology which is used in this standard. This is actually newly added. The previous version of AS 9100, it is not there, because nowadays the ASD entire supply chain is facing a lot of issues on counterfeit part. Now, any one of you heard about, or your customer insisting that your dealers, your distributors must be certified to AS 9120? Do you recently got any requirement from your customers? 9120. See, I'm talking about only dealer distributors, because that standard is only applicable to them. So why? Because that standard also emphasizing a lot on preventing the counterfeit part at the supply chain. So the dynamics are changed around us. So the standard is very clear. So that's why they have included this particular requirement. This is a definition only. We see the requirement what it is later. Then critical item. This is another definition. Any item which has significant effect on providing the product or using the product, which is going to affect safety, performance, form, fit, function, those items are called as critical item. Now, I will ask you a question. Do you handle any critical item in your company? Yeah, Anil Kumar, most of them says yes. Okay, who decides that it's a critical item? Yes, customer, the engineering authority. I'm underlining the word, it's always designer or engineering authority. They will know what is the impact, what kind of impact this product is going to do on safety, performance, whatever. Because we cannot say every item is critical because it goes to an aircraft industry. No. Then there is another requirement, key characteristics, KC. A particular product, there are a lot of parameters, lot of dimensions, right? So which is key? Who decides it? This is critical to quality. Who decides it? In your company, who decides it? Again, it should come from engineering authority or a designer, because a product has a lot of dimensions. We can't say every dimension is key, right? So this is what some of the terms which is going to affect product form, fit, function, performance, safety. So those needs to be identified by a designer. So this is beautifully addressed in class number 8.1 and 8.3 of 9100. When you are planning your product realization, operational planning and control, when you do design and development, this must be identified. Then product safety. So look at the definition. The state in which a product is able to perform its designed or intended purpose without causing an acceptable risk of harm to person or damage to the property. Who will be the responsible for product safety? Product safety I'm talking about. Okay, I'll put this way. You are manufacturing a product, just a machining industry. You are not design anything. The product safety is applicable to you. You are not designing, you are just a precision machined component manufacturer. Is this product safety is applicable? Okay, I'll give an example. I'm just an operator, machine CNC machine operator. I have machined the product. When I'm inspecting the product, it is very clear, meeting the drawing requirements, right? When I'm handling, I have dropped the product on the floor. Nobody noticed it. Again, I took back that component and visually inspected. There is no physical damage. Dimensionally, it's perfect. Now, do you think this product is safe? See, in that context, we need to interpret the word product safety. So product safety is not just a requirement, it's a culture. We have seen the whole purpose of AS 9100 is to address safety and reliability, correct? So never ever forget that. Then special requirement. What is the special requirement? We know a lot of requirement in the organization. Customer requirement, regulatory requirement, standard requirement, product requirement, manufacturing process requirement. What is the special requirement? So these special requirements are either determined by the company or determined by the customer, which has high risk. High risk. So high risk products, they would like to highlight, they will add some additional requirement, then they call it a special requirement. For example, welding. Your company may have in-house facility for welding, but your customer doesn't allow you to do weld at your company. They will say welding has to be done only with Nadcap accredited source. It is not only special processes. It may apply to anywhere. You have to buy the raw material only from NATO countries. Even sometimes you get the better quality material, cheap price in non-NATO countries, but your customer doesn't allow that because they don't want to take high risk here, right? Based on the risk. So these special requirements are defined by your customers or your own company. You can do that. So this is nothing to do with special process. Don't misinterpret it. The word is special process is different. Here, look at the definition. It is a special requirement. If I am not, the risk is not managed here, maybe it may affect the product quality or product safety, right? So these are the 5 terms we need to understand. Counterfeit part, critical item, key characteristics, product safety, and special requirements, right? Now, so here onwards, we are going to see the requirements. I'm going to highlight only the additional requirements, which is not there in other management system. The very first additional requirement here is 4.4.1 talks about you need to identify what are all your customer QMS requirements. What are all your regulatory QMS requirements? Do you have any customer QMS requirement? It is not customer drawing requirement. I'm not talking about that. It is not customer's engineering specification. I'm talking about customer quality management system requirement. Most of the ASD customer must have this. I think you should have this for your suppliers, right? It's called as like ASQR, SQR, like different terminologies. Someone said BMS, correct? Exactly. Yeah, Spock, Honeywell has Spock. Like every aerospace customers have their own quality management system requirement, right? So we need to identify that the requirement here is those requirement must be addressed in your own quality management system. So there are two quality management system we need to consider. One is customer QMS. The second one is regulatory QMS. You have to go and ask your regulators. Who are all your regulators? Do they have any quality management system requirement? So both we need to identify and address in your own quality management system. Now the question here is, who will identify this? You mentioned a lot of requirements. Spock, SQR, a lot of documents you have mentioned, right? Those documents are given by your customers. Okay, in your organization, who will identify this? First of all, this is what my customer QMS requirement. Then who will comply this? Because this document contains requirements of your entire business. There are a lot of requirements related to purchasing, storage, inspection, calibration. So you need to think that way, how we are going to comply this, right? Then we should have some documents with respect to AS 9100. Who are all your interested parties? What is your scope? Whether design is applicable to you or not, or any of the requirement, the standard is not applicable to you. What are the process in your company? Who are the process owners? So everything should be documented. You combine everything and call them as quality manual. It's up to you to decide. Then there is one particular word, OTD. It is responsibility of the top management to ensure OTD and product quality performance are measured. If the results are not achieved or will not be achieved, the action must be taken. Now we all hit under COVID crisis, right? Now most of us clearly aware about that. I am not going to meet the delivery requirement. So what action you have taken so far? So this class 5.1.2D directly reflects our present situation. So what is the role of top management here? Exactly. So you deploy your own business plan or business continuity plan. Then roles and responsibilities. Every individual roles responsibilities must be defined. Here the MR is a mandatory requirement in 9100. Top management must appoint a person as a management representative. The MR should have unrestricted access to the top management to discuss any QMS issues. Then there are some specific requirement with respect to your calibration. Okay, I will put you a question. How many days in advance you will recall an instrument from shop floor for its calibration due? So 1 week, 1 month. Okay, who decides it? How you will ensure this happens? Is it the responsibility of operator or it is responsibility of the quality inspector to recall the instrument? So we should have a process for this. Assign a process and demonstrate. That's one additional requirement. Then competency. There are a lot of critical activity performed by an operator. The operator needs to be qualified, but the operator competency needs to be periodically reviewed. You can't say that past 5 years our competency requirements are same. Then we are missing something, right? So that's what this particular requirement is. Then awareness. Everyone in the company must aware about these topics. What are the quality management system document applicable to you? You should know your procedures, your work instructions, your SOPs, right? Then what is your contribution to achieve product quality? What is your contribution to achieve product safety? Then this is very critical, the importance of ethical behavior. So this ethical behavior is directly connected to the prevention of counterfeit part, correct? You mentioned that through suppliers we are getting counterfeit part. Then this ethical behavior awareness has to reach your suppliers also. Are we doing business ethically? Or our suppliers does the business ethically? So this awareness we need to create throughout the organization. It is not just telling to auditor. It's, for example, I am doing incoming inspection. The product is very critical. I need to achieve my OTD, but the product is not meeting the specification. My boss says, no, this is a small issue. This is not going to affect product quality. Let's release it. What you will do? You can't say my boss is boss, so I have to listen him. Of course, you have to listen him, but what is the process you have? If any unethical practices is being followed in your organization, so do we have any ethical policies? There are many organizations who are supplying, who are fined for delivering counterfeit part, banned to do business for ASD industries. Right, so the ethical behavior is again the culture we need to adopt in the organization. It is not just how you are going to deal the non-conforming product. Of course, you are going to deal that. The concern here is the culture. If the leadership allows you to do unethical practices, then what type of product you are going to deliver to them? That's the concern. So that's why 7.3 says everyone in the organization, everyone, including contract personnel, including your suppliers, must aware about these topics. Then 8.1. This is the most misinterpreted classes, I could say. Now I'm going to put you the question here. Who is responsible for this 8.1? Which process? Which department? Operational planning and control. Who is responsible for this process in your own organization? Production, PPC, PPC, PPC. See, this is what the wrong interpretation. It is not production planning and control. Look at the word. It is operational planning and control. When we say operation, the entire clause 8, so entire clause 8 talks about new product development, your marketing, design and development, purchasing, production, stores, right? Delivery, warehouse. So it's entire operation. So who is going to plan and control the entire business operation? Management, it's leadership, right? We have discussed in class 5. Here is, it's more on, do you have any process called as program management, project management, operational planning? Yes. So this is what this particular requirement is. Yeah, you can do this via CFT, even engineering can play some role. It's your own organizational call. But understand, don't misinterpret this with production planning. Right, that's I would like to emphasize here. So what we need to do here, there are some unique requirement which is written by IAQG here. Here, look at this. We have seen this two definition, right? CI and KC. So you must define a process. What type of control I need to establish in case is there any critical item, in case if there is any key characteristics. Only process, I need to identify the process. Then do this with CFT approach. For this, the entire operation, what are the resources I need? What are the processes I need to establish? Make or buy decision. Then how I am to apply this risk-based thinking? I have to prevent the non-conformity, right? These are all some of the unique requirement in 8.1. And this has to be done in a systematic way. You call them as project management or program management, whatever. And if you are transferring any work here, the work transfer needs to be managed. The transfer may be temporary or permanent. Manage it as per your 8.4 class. Control of externally provided processes, products, and services. So that's what 8.1 is. So this talks about entire operational planning. Then 8.1.1. This is a unique requirement. This is operational risk. What do you mean by operational risk? Already we have seen risk-based thinking, right? That is basic quality management system, risk-based thinking approach, which is we needed at the planning. Similar way, when you do your operational planning, in that context, we need to determine the risk. It is not FME, no. It is not design FME, because we have not yet moved to design class, right? See, I will interpret what it is. Look at this. You must have a process for managing operational risk. In operation, what are the activity you do? Can you list some activities what you do in operations? I'm talking about process. What are the process we do in operation? Sourcing, design, perfect, right? I'll take these two examples. Sourcing. Let's take Supreet says sourcing. So when you are selecting a supplier, we need to identify risk for that supplier. Clear? What we did in 6.1.1 is risk to my quality management system in 6.1. In 8.1.1, what we need to do is risk related to my operation, which means sourcing process needs to have two type of risk-based thinking approach. One is for the quality management system for sourcing process. The other one is in sourcing process, when I am selecting a supplier, what is the risk specific to that operation for that supplier? Clear? So that is what it is. So here you assign your own responsibilities, you define your criteria, what basis you are going to review the risks. Every risk you can try to connect with OTD, quality, cost, customer satisfaction and all, right? That's the, you are connecting, but the concern here is what risk you are going to assess. Then identify the risk, assess the risk, accept the risk. So this is what this risk management is. Then configuration management. This is again altogether new requirement. This is not just document control, releasing the new version of document, getting back the old version that we have did within document control itself. This is totally a different requirement. Configuration management is, no, I am giving the sourcing as only example. I think you are not listening clearly. Yeah? I took that as an example. This operational risk is apply every process what we do in operation. Right? Okay, so this configuration management, previously we have these 5 phases in the earlier version of AS 9100. Configuration planning, configuration identification, configuration change control, configuration status accounting, configuration audit, right? All those 5 requirements are not in the standard now. Why? Because people have misinterpreted, auditors are misinterpreted, even we consultant have misinterpreted. So now they made it very clear what it is. You have to prove that the identification and control of physical and functional attributes throughout the product life cycle. If there is a change, how you are going to apply this to an hardware, how you are going to apply this to your stores, suppliers, purchasing. So everywhere throughout the life cycle we have to maintain. That's what whole this particular requirement is. Then product safety, yes, we have seen this, the definition. We should have a process to assure product safety. What is the process? Standard doesn't recommend any process. It's as appropriate to the product, as appropriate to the organization. You must have your own product safety process. In note, they are given some steps. You can do a hazard assessment, then define what is critical item, then apply controls, like identify it as a critical item, there may be a KC in it, then control it. That is one way of demonstrating it. So this is purely product safety, nothing to do with operators health and safety. Clear? Then the prevention of counterfeit part, correct? Okay, so here I'm going to ask you some question. Now you got a counterfeit part from your supplier, you identified it, you came to know that it's clear fake item. Now tell me what you are going to do with that item, how you are disposing that counterfeit part. Can anyone just tell me? I'm talking about the product. What happened to the product part, the fake part? You move to quarantine, then what happens? It is NC only, but what happened to that product? How you are going to dispose it, scrap it? Inform to what happened to the product? Move to quarantine, discuss with the MRB, put it red deck. Finally, where it goes? That's the concern. Resend to supplier. Never ever do that, Mr. Abhishek. Don't return to supplier. Standard doesn't allow us to do, right? Scrap at supplier cost, that's a good way of mitigating the risk. So there are various ways, you define your own methodology, correct? But never ever send it back, ask for replacement. Why? Because you know the reason why. If you got a fake 2000 rupees note, what you will do? No, IAQG is not a regulatory authority to deal with the counterfeit items, right? See, again, you may use the fake 2000 note similar way. If you resend it to them, they will send it to other aerospace customers, right? That's what the whole process is. Okay, so then 8.2, there is one specific requirement. When you are determining any requirements for the product, when you do a contract review, when you do a feasibility review, identify what are all the special requirement in it. What are the risks involved in this? Operational risk. And all your review must be done along with the CFT people. If any requirements cannot be agreed, like terms and condition given by your customer, even SQR, SPARC, ASQR, if some of the requirement, if you feel not applicable, you can always discuss with your customer, you can negotiate with them, right? Then 8.3, design and development. Here a lot of additional requirements. I'm going to focus very few requirements because we need to cover the other requirements, just an introduction. I'm going to highlight very few requirements here. Look at this. When you are designing, when you're taking a design input, you have to consider the obsolescence requirements, because most of the counterfeit parts are there in the market because of poor obsolescence management program. Why? Because the designer might have chosen a product, the product may not be available in the market, or the manufacturer stopped producing the product, then obviously there is a chances of fake items, right? Then in design and development output, I would like to highlight one requirements, very critical requirements, that is KC. As a designer, it is your responsibility, in case of any key characteristics, in case of any critical item, you must identify in your engineering specification. If you're not identified, then the entire supply chain will take advantage after that. So that's the key call here, right? Then design and development changes needs to be aligned with the configuration management. Then one of the biggest requirement in standard is purchasing, sourcing, supply chain management. You are fully responsible for the product conformity. Either you are procuring products from customer approved source, Nadcap approved supplier, AS 9100 supplier, nothing will come and help you. It is you are only responsible. The standard made it very clear. So when you are selecting a supplier, consider these risks, identify the risks involved with the supplier, then manage the risk while selecting as well as using that supplier, right? Then purchasing information. When you are placing any work order, purchase order, you have to flow down lot of requirements to your suppliers. If you are not flow down this is nothing but our customer QMS requirement. You got SPOC from your customers, right? You got ASQR, SQR from your customers, right? Those are all part of this standard requirement. So if your customer is certified to AS 9100, definitely they have to flow down this requirement to you, right? Then lot of requirements you have to flow down through your purchase orders or supplier quality requirements. Here the critical thing is again ethical behavior. You have to flow down this to your suppliers. Then production activity. We have to control our production process. How to control? The standard gives you some methodology. It says A to Q. So whatever written in A to Q, that needs to be addressed. If you do this, yes, we can say that our production process or our service process is controlled. Then any tools, jigs, softwares, CNC programs used, that needs to be validated prior to its usage. Then special process. Someone have said na special requirement. In that time they have used the word special process. So here the special process comes into picture. What is special process? I think we have discussed this a lot for past 3 days. Any process, the output is cannot verified, that is special process. Whereas in ASD business, they consider everything as a special process. I'm putting this question: machining is a special process? Machining. Okay, so you keep your answers. I will come back to you later, right? Okay, so welding, plating, soldering, crimping, most of the ing process we call them as special processes. Then production process verification. This is like first article inspection. Then we have identification traceability. This is very crucial. If you use any inspection stamps, that needs to be controlled. Here you have to maintain the configuration also, right? So here, this few critical requirements I would like to highlight here. One is FOD. FOD. What is FOD? Can you give some example of FODs? Yes, burr, dust, hair, right? So this is the definition. Either it is foreign object debris or foreign object damage. It creates some physical damage or economic damage. So this is some of the pictures even given by IAQG. These are the FODs observed, identified in MRO during maintenance, repair, overhauling. Can you imagine? A small broken metal piece causes big disasters. So we have to be very careful. So we should have a process to prevent, detect, control the FODs, right? So there are some standards available. It's again guidance standard, not certifiable standard, AS 9146, which tell us how to deal the FODs. You can adopt that if you want. Then how to deal the non-conforming items. Identify it, isolate it, call MRB, ask customers what to do. Are you allowed to do rework? Or can you go for some concession? Ask your customers. Typically, most of the critical item manufacturer, even KC items, you are not authorized to do rework also. So you have to check with your customers. Am I authorized to do rework? Am I authorized to for waiver, concessional acceptance? Take a call here. Never ever scrap a non-conforming item as it is, because it may become a counterfeit part later, right, in the supply chain. So you have to destroy it accordingly. If your customer allows, yes, go and ask your customers, right? That's what some of the key requirement in 8.7. Then 912, here there is one specific requirement for customer satisfaction. You need to go and ask your customer about your product quality, about your on-time delivery, about how we are responding to your corrective actions and customer compliance. On these factors, we have to assess our customer satisfaction. Then non-conformity and corrective action. Here, when we do root cause analysis, you must consider, is there any human factor related causes? Typically in other management system, they pay little attention to this human factor, but AS 9100 made it very clear. You must consider human factors. Then if non-conformity is not effectively, timingly taken, you have to take one more corrective action for that. Right? So if you were needed, flow down the requirement to your suppliers. So these are all the various requirements, additional requirements there in 9100. So this is just an outline, but even each requirements we can take even 2 days classes to explain all these requirements to the organization. It depends on the organization needs and their existing system maturity level, that matters. But here I would like to highlight this Nadcap. So Nadcap is a special process approval. We have discussed this question already, right? What are all special process? We identified various items: welding, heat treatment, coating, bonding, plating, all ink, right? So this is the requirement in 9100. If the output is not verified by subsequent measurement monitoring, that is called a special process. So this requirement alone not sufficient. That's why the industry launched a program for Aerospace Defense Contractor Accreditation Program. It is industry managed program. When I say industry managed, there are various prime contractors. We call them as subscriber. They mandated this. So this is a part of PRI, Performance Review Institute, and it was created by SAE. So PRI is managing entire Nadcap program. It is not only Nadcap, they offer a lot of program for aerospace industries. Right now they are offering 4 programs. One is Nadcap, other one is CAAP, Counterfeit Avoidance Accreditation Program, and QPL, and also they certifies 9100 also. These are the various services offered by PRI. So PRI is forming task groups, Nadcap task groups. For each sector, specialized experts are part of this task group. Members across ASD industry have become member in task group. They have developed the audit checklist. So the audit checklist is based on customer specification and industry standards. For example, welding. So they will take input from AWS standard. Then each customer specific requirements. If it is electronics industry means they will take IPC standards. So it depends on what type of process, manufacturing process we do. For that they have developed the checklist. So task group is purely people from that particular industry. The experts are part of this. So the audit checklist is developed by the industry. The auditor selection, qualification done by the industry. Even audit conducted, managed by the individual third-party Nadcap auditor. But the complete audit results, the NC closures are completely done by PRI. Then finally, recommendation for accreditation, closure of the complete audit, everything is done by the industry. So these are the various commodities presently Nadcap is offered. AQS is basic AC 7004, similar to AS 9100. And there are chemical processing, coatings, various items, electronics, fluid distribution, heat treatment, even metallic material manufacturing. This is recently added commodity, forgings. Then non-conventional machining, non-metallic material manufacturing, sealants, welding. So a lot of commodities presently they are covering. Yes, non-conventional machining. That's what I asked the question. So machining is a special process. So Nadcap offering. So other than this, big primes as a policy, this is Airbus policy, which means they don't do business with non-Nadcap accredited suppliers. So this is their policy. Not only Airbus, if we take any major subscriber, they mandated Nadcap. Even EDM, right? You can take any manufacturing processes, so they mandated. Not every OEM, for example, HAL is a OEM, but HAL is not mandated Nadcap. It depends, right, on the strategic process. Someone asked the question, cleaning process. Okay, you are cleaning off which item? The item is come out of some process, right? Electronics, board cleaning, then it is part of electronics, right? In that context, we need to interpret. Okay, so this is what the whole process. We have audit checklist, and there are some guidelines and industry standard. So when we are implementing Nadcap, we have to cover all. So we do Nadcap consulting services. We almost did around 12 projects on Nadcap on various commodity. So this is how it goes. So identify who is your subscriber, aerospace customers, whether they are demanding Nadcap or as part of business decision you are going. Take a call, request the audit, then PRI will schedule some auditors. There are very few auditors in India for few commodities. Then once we are ready, they will come and do an audit. So after audit, the auditor rolls over. Auditor will not going to review anything on your corrective action response and all. That is purely responsibility of the PRI staff reviewer. So finally, everything is done. Your NC is closed. The Nadcap task group recommends you for the accreditation. And this is how a certification looks like. So this is their old logo. Now Nadcap has changed the new logo. So where to get this Nadcap requirement? What is the cost? QPL, all those questions we can answer. You can reach us via our emails. So this is the numbers I would like to project here. As on this morning, there are totally 89 companies certified for Nadcap. Majority of them Karnataka, and Tamil Nadu has 12 numbers. And when it's come to 9100, there are 750 organizations certified for 9100. Again, majority are from Karnataka and few are from Tamil Nadu. Okay, so with this, I just stop this session. Then we'll move to question and answer. So before moving to question and answer, I am just sharing a small link to you. This is a quiz link. Please do attempt. I'll give you few minutes to do this. So this is the link. Just click that link. If the link is not opening, don't worry. We will send you through email. But whoever can able to attend this quiz, please do. The entire session is recorded and it will be uploaded in the YouTube. You will receive an email. There we can get this entire presentation. Yeah, I rest my case here. I'll give you 10 minutes time. Just click that link and attempt the quiz. After 10 minutes, we will open for question and answer session. Please stay here. Look at the chat box. You can get the link. Just click that. Balaji has sent you that, right? Just click that. Can you able to open that? No, don't copy, just click that link. Not even one person can able to open that.